I'm going to do something shocking and radical on this channel, which is my shift starts in 20 minutes. I am going to make a vlog before I head in. And because I forgot to plug one of my devices, and I said, okay, as soon as I go back downstairs, I'm gonna plug it. This was 10 minutes ago, and I forgot to plug it. So I'm trying to buy some time for it to do a little bit of charging. So last night, I really couldn't sleep very well. It was one of those nights in which I don't necessarily feel tired, but I could use the sleep. I could use the rest. The rest was just hard to achieve because every night before a shift, I have observed that pattern with me, which is the night before a shift, I have trouble falling asleep. And if I do end up falling asleep with no problem, I have an issue staying asleep. On my days when I'm off and I don't have to work the next day, typically I can get a significantly better sleep than on the nights when there's a shift the next day. But sometimes, even on my days off, like I just said, I still have trouble staying asleep. And that's been the case for me for a long time now, probably since, I want to say that this started for me around 2016-ish, 17-ish. I think that in more recent times it's been getting worse. I remember back in those days being like, oh, okay, I can function just fine on 4 hours of sleep, no big deal. And nowadays, I'm about the same. I still have the same level of energy and stuff, but I do observe that I tend to suffer from anxiety a little more often during times when I have gone a prolonged period of time without decent sleep. Decent sleep to me would be 4 hours plus uninterrupted. And that's honestly something that doesn't really happen to me ever. Maybe once a week I may get lucky, but it's not something that I can say I can achieve. And I know that in the past I may have made a video about me talking about my sleep, and if I didn't, then I definitely journaled about it. Something that brought me some peace is the fact that there were some people who I heard saying that they're the same way, that they don't necessarily get a lot of sleep, but they don't feel like they're suffering from not getting a lot of sleep. And I'm hoping that that continues to be the case for me. I don't really feel that different when I go these periods of time without a lot of sleep, except for my mental capacity. What I just described about how I tend to be a little more on edge and easy to fall prey to anxiety, and it's because maybe my brain just hasn't shut down and hasn't had the proper processing time for certain things. But yeah, you guys, I thought I would share that and just, for me, do something different, because sometimes I underestimate the power of what vlogging / journaling does for me. And if handwriting my journal has become somewhat challenging for me, like I don't have the inspo for it anymore, I still have the inspo to journal in this format. So why not? And I also can say that unlike when I first started doing this, I don't have issues with listening to myself and looking at myself like I used to way back in the day. And that's why my tone changed. Way back in the day, I just lacked a lot of confidence and just self-appreciation, self-love in some areas. And now, if this is something that works for me and I enjoy, then this is a form of self-love. So yeah, I thought I would share this. Let's revisit this topic of bad sleep. And on the plus side, the weather is favorable for sleep. I think that's part of what heightens my anxiety feelings. Like, come on, the weather is great. It's super cold. The colder it is, the better I sleep. But what's going on? I just thought that I would open up a new sleep topic for this season, or maybe for this year. I'm not sure I ever discussed sleep at any point this year. And let's hear what you guys have to say. How has your sleep been? I hope better than mine. Or I hope that if you're not getting what you consider to be by your standards optimal sleep, that at least it doesn't hinder you. For me, at least I can say it doesn't hinder me. So my shift turned out to not be bad at all. It also helped that my manager was being a clown and made me laugh. I had a pretty good crew today. Everyone seemed to be in a good mood, the kind of mood where we are lifting each other up type of thing. And then I had a really good conversation with a coworker, one of those conversations that gets deep. We've done that before. I've had that kind of chat with her, and then in the end she'll be like, good talk, Zam. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't know how much I needed it until you started it out of the blue, and then I started getting curious and asking questions. It has to do with how someone processes getting diagnosed with something, the whole getting into medication and how that changes you and how you react and all that. And since that's not something I do, and this is this person's first time doing that, she was already feeling the effects of it, and I said, well, keep sharing, because with me, I've always been that person who's like, whatever's gonna take me is gonna take me, and period. You know, it was a good convo because we also agreed on a lot of things that I talk about here, especially the way work feels, how it affects your time, your life, what we wish we were doing instead, the things that keep us from legit doing that, and support. And it was a good conversation. I don't like to say that I like when other people are in the same boat as you, but what I'm trying to say is that it's nice to hear from another person who's going through similar things that you are going through, because although misery loves company, I don't necessarily foment misery. It is nice that I could recur to someone like her to express myself when I feel nobody else gets it quite the way that I'm expressing it. On the note of not being able to sleep, one of my coworkers also said that he doesn't usually get very good sleep, and he's been that way for decades. He doesn't seem to be slowed down by it. Like, he's energetic, and at nighttime he will get whatever sleep he can and just function from that. And I observed that despite him being an older person, he's on a roll. So yeah, I think I may be just one of those people who simply will function with little sleep. And I think that I'm harming myself more worrying about it than what the actual consequence of me missing out on sleep might be. So I'm gonna take that as a sign to convince myself once and for all that even if I don't sleep, it doesn't mean I'm condemned to like malfunction.